Hello everyone, Om Shanti, greetings of peace. Very warm welcome to Brahmakumari Silicon Valley. Today is the last class of the self-development series, Blameless Living Leads to Blissful Living. We've been talking about blames in many different aspects. First, we tried to understand what does blame really mean? Why do people tend to blame each other? How do we deal with a blamer? And we also talked about if I can't blame, then what is my method of giving feedback to others, right? So we will continue that. And then at the last, we will also talk about how to overcome self blame. As always, we'll get first started with a guided meditation. Request you all to kindly join me. Let's get the body in a comfortable posture. Feet on the ground. Head and back straight. And see if taking a few deep breaths helps in relaxing. I, the being, is separate from this mind and body, and I am the master, and the mind and the body are my servant. I, with authority and gentleness, guide them. They can't control me. They can't influence me. At a very subtle level, I might be blaming the body for the way I feel. I might be blaming the upbringing, the friends, the relatives, the culture, the principles, the values, or maybe the entire world for my misery. And it's okay to blame as long as I think it's benefiting me. When I am in misery, or if I am in lot of rage, aggression, or depression, is it benefiting me? Anything that feels heavy, that feels burdened, entangled, cannot be liberating. That is what blaming does. It makes us very heavy because no matter how much we blame, nothing on the outside level changes. Actually, it does change, but in a downward negative manner. Relationships become worse. The health of the body deteriorates. I can blame the body, but that does not help in its healing. And maybe I blame the body and still get it treated. But because I am sending such a negative, dismissive vibration to the body, it continues to deteriorate, fall sick, be in pain again and again. And I increase the blame because of the body. I am unable to do this, and that. Because of the body, I am not able to take care of the family. Because of the body, I'm not getting that kind of position. It does not help. Does not help me. Does not help the body. It causes more and more dirt to be accumulated inside of my heart. And I feel hopeless. As if this blaming of everybody isn't enough. I start blaming my own self. I should have known better. I should have tried more. Why didn't I do that? Why did I do it like that? What must be the world thinking about me? What is going to happen to me? Blame is a direct attack on the personality, on the esteem, on the respect. And when I tear myself away like that with blame, how can a torn person whose esteem has been torn apart, whose respect has been shattered, do anything valuable? A shattered person has no courage, no power, no motivation, nothing to do even a simple thing. Mistakes occur, failures occur. Till I am in this world, in this body, mistakes and failures will continue. Nobody can escape them. Everybody has their share of mistakes. Some a lot in this birth, some more in others' births. I cannot compare myself with others. That is also a part of blame game, where we excuse ourselves by saying, Others make more mistake, carelessness, or we attack ourselves even more by saying nobody makes mistakes except you. Comparison doesn't help because everybody's journey, everybody's destiny, everybody's way of getting to the destiny is unique, uniquely beautiful, uniquely special. It's possible in this birth I tend to make a lot of mistakes. With a clean conscience, an open heart, with full honesty, I give all of these mistakes and its details to the Supreme, who's my parent, who's the ocean of forgiveness. He can take care of it. He can guide me. He can give me the light of knowledge and the might of courage to go beyond the mistakes. The Supreme takes away all the pain of the mistakes I have created and fills my heart with His love, with His courage, with His wisdom. From now onwards, those mistakes are out of my memory. They're part of the Supreme's inner space. They're out of mine. All I have is love. The love that Supreme has for me, I have for myself. I'm done with the blame game and I start the game of love. Love towards myself. Love towards the Supreme. And love towards the life and the mistakes because they help me grow and come closer to the Supreme for His supreme guidance. A very warm welcome, everyone, to Blameless Living Leads to Blissful Living, last class. Today we focus on overcome self-blame. I saw that some people had their hands raised during meditation. Is there any question that you might have, or was that just accidental? Did anybody have anything to say? I can unmute. I saw some hand raised. In meditation, it's best if you could put something on the chat. I would rather not stop and kind of let anyone talk. So feel free to put anything on the chat if there is something to say. And then throughout the session, feel free to raise your hand as questions come up or put them on the chat. So we'll get started with this last class. First, we were talking about, how to correct without blaming. So let's finish that and then we will come back to overcoming self-blame. So how do we correct others, right? If we are not, a lot of us, we don't know, maybe unknowingly or knowingly, we use the method of blame, and we understood what blame was in the first class, and we also discussed it in the class previous. And then we also talked about how we need to think before we speak or say anything. What will happen if I don't give them this feedback, right? Really stop and pause and think, because words can really spoil relationships. They say the sharpness of the tongue is The tongue is more sharper than the sword. It can cut, damage people more, the tongue, than the sword, right? Which basically means your words can really break someone's heart, break someone's, shatter their esteem. So I need to be careful. Think. So blame indeed is a way of shattering others' respect, completely bringing them down. So first, even before I have to give feedback, let me think. And then we talked about art of correcting others, right? How I need to look at my inner space, move from intolerance to tolerance, impatience to patience. If there is some anger, hatred I'm feeling inside, how can I come towards empathy and forgiveness? So this is one, is the preparation of the self. Then the next is also preparation of the outer space, checking if this person is really ready for my feedback. Who are the people that are here? Should I really be giving them feedback while their friends are here, or while they've just maybe come back from work? Maybe they've had a bad day. Maybe they're not feeling well overall, health wise. Maybe they've had a tough day, or maybe they're too happy about something, right? So I need to look at the right time, right place, right environment, and also take a quick check. Did I give feedback of this kind before? How was it received? Why are they not changing? If I've already given it once, why am I giving it again? Or if it is a different feedback, still, how was previous feedback received? Have I incorporated the learning, or I just keep on giving feedback even though it's falling to deaf ears? Why am I doing it? I need to pause and check. This is something, these exercises are very critical. They take only 5-10 minutes. Sit with yourself early in the morning with a pen and paper and ask these questions. Many people find it very boring. Believe me, if you do it for a week, you'll find this is the most interesting thing to do. All your habits of, if you are habituated to, being on phone, watching something, chit chatting, all of those habits will go away. You will find this habit of introspection, going deeper to understand yourself and others, to be the most interesting thing, and so much benefit will come out of it. So the next thing that we check before giving feedback, right? I don't want to blame others, but I still have to give feedback. Before giving feedback, let me check, is their past mistake still lingering? There is this feeling that is lingering. This person, they are always like that. They're a hopeless case. They can never change. They're born lazy. They are born foolish. Their entire family is like this. This particular caste is like this people from this religion are like that, the people from this country. So that whole background baggage is lingering on my heart. Then if I tell anything, if that is the kind of feeling I have in the heart, the soul is feeling that, then whatever I say, if I say it in the most sugar coated words, it will still cut them. It will shatter their esteem, because my words are just trying to cover up the dirt that exists inside, but that dirt is still felt by the other person much faster than the words. And then later we get very upset that, hey, I used the right words. I said it so sweetly. My face was also sweet. They still didn't like it. Today's generation is like that. Or we start talking about and blaming them, right? So, first of all, we need to check, is the ego amplifying the mistake from their past? Ego will generally like to bucket people, people from this religion, people from this country, or this particular person has the quality of laziness, this person has the quality of being talkative, this person is always disorganized. It's like a strong stamp on them. People change, but ego will not want to let go of that image it has created, right? And what we need to instead do is, before giving that feedback, I need to warm my heart, I need to clean my heart. And that occurs when I focus on their virtue, on their strengths. Ego will not like it. My ego, which wants to look better, which wants to give that feedback, right? It will not like it. I have to sit with that ego. What is more important to me? Is it just giving feedback, making this other person look bad? What is the point of giving feedback if it is spoiling the relationship and it's not even bringing about the change? Ask yourself, do I really want this person to change? Do I want this relationship to be good? Ego will not have any kind of answers to these kind of things, and even if it does, it will lie. But someone who says truly, no, I want to maintain the relationship, I want this person's weakness to be removed for their sake, not for my sake. I am fine. It's not upsetting me. Their behavior is not upsetting me, but I feel bad that because of this weakness, this person's potential is being submerged. So that is something that I need to check at that level. Then what is the future vision I have, right? What am I thinking after I give this feedback? What am I expecting? Ego will have dull future. Ego is already concluded this person can never change, they're a hopeless case. It will be a very, very pessimistic outlook, extremely critical. But they will still give the feedback. They already know it won't change, but they like to put somebody down, right? The ego likes to put somebody down so that it can look better. So it still wants to give feedback. So that is why this morning exercise, full honesty, sitting with the Supreme and saying, why do I want to give this feedback? What is it for? Is it for me to put someone down? Or is it for really for someone else to come out of that miserable weakness? And then the person who's really, really wanting to help the other person out, it's not for them. They're not disturbed by their foolish behavior or disorganized or lazy behavior. They're not disturbed. But they are selflessly wanting this person to be out of it, not as a result of disturbance. Why is this person my child? Why are they like this? Or why is my spouse like this? Or why is my colleague like this? Or why is my manager like this? No, everybody is the way they are supposed to be. But my feedback is only so that they can become better, they can have a better quality life. So when they give this feedback, they have the right energy, they're optimistic, they feel this person can change. I will do everything I can to help them change. If they want my help, if they don't, that is fine. If they don't want to change, that is fine too. Maybe not right now is not the time, but I maintain faith that one day they will want to change. Every being is beautiful, but everybody's time is different. So that is the kind of future outlook before I even give my feedback. So, any questions so far of whatever we are talking? Any questions? Feel free to raise your hand or put your questions on the chat. Any ideas or thoughts you would like to share? Feel free to put it on chat or raise your hand. All good. So, even more going to this unlimited attitude where that person, could be that who's repeatedly making the same mistake, or they're purposefully making the mistake to try to annoy you. Could be anything, right? And how do I not use blame? How do I not tell them that, hey, purposefully, I know it, intentionally you're doing it, I've told you so many times. Instead of using that language, how do I go about it, right? Yes, very well said. Don't criticize unless you're going to help them. And I would say, maybe you don't mean it, but criticize is again a negative energy, right? So I am not at all giving any kind of negative feedback. I'm just telling them that, hey, this is something that is really causing you more trouble. It's bringing down the quality of your own life, your work, your way of being. So I'm giving you just this feedback. If you want, you could change. If you want, you could be the way you want, right? I am okay with it. I know that eventually you will come out of it. That kind of faith, when we give that kind of strength to others, that strength never goes wasted. It is such a valuable contribution to maintain hope in others. That is one thing that the Supreme does forever. Will never ever give up on anyone. And how does he do that? Because he has this unlimited attitude, because he's the ocean of knowledge. He has that secret knowledge that enables him to be unshakably hopeful, unconditionally uplifting, right? So that unconditional warmth can be felt in my heart for a person who's repeatedly trying to make the same mistake, purposefully trying to annoy me. I can still maintain this warmth when I anchor to the absolute truth. And this is where, just living in this physical world and understanding everything at the level of the eye, at the level of what I listen to others, what I have seen, what I have known to them, for them to be. It could be my own child, it could be my own in-laws, it could be my own manager. How do I know them? Whatever I've heard, whatever I've seen through these eyes, whatever I've felt through what they said, that is all I know, right? Which is through the ears, eyes, mouth. That is about it. It's at the physical level. Spirituality gives us the incognito view of a being that can't be seen, that can't be understood through the ears. It has to be known at a much higher level, and that absolute level of a being is that every divine being, every being is a divine creation, an exact replica of the Supreme. And I know we've said this many times in every class, but it goes very, very deep. It basically means that every being is potential. When we say exactly like Supreme means what? The potential of every soul, human soul, is to be like the Supreme. And in this world drama, which we don't remember, every time we take a different birth, that is, we leave this body, we forget what happens in the previous birth or the birth before that. Supreme is the only one who has the complete knowledge of the world drama. He knows that the soul starts with extreme purity, completely flawless. That is how they start their first birth. Every soul, all of the 8 billion soul, started their journey like that, and slowly, 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 traces of vices, weaknesses enter the soul. And when the end comes of the journey, everybody again returns back to that purity. So when you know that absolute truth of every being, that gives you the strength, the understanding to maintain faith and never give up. And for me, this is my personal experience. For everyone that I've maintained this faith, I've seen a change in them, some complete dramatic change, and in others, little change, in others, more change. But every person in whom I've maintained this faith, they have changed on their own. This is an incognito method of giving feedback. Blame is like really dark, negative, dismissive feedback, right? Very dismissive. It's an attack. It's not even really trying to help, it's just an attack. Then words come, right? Words trying to make the others change. That's another method. As long as you have your heart clean and you have a bright vision of the future, yes, your words will work. It takes a bit more time. But this silent incognito practice, looking at others, this mistake, and in the heart, I know you. In the heart, I'm saying, I know you. You are a being of perfection. This is just a transient image role that you're playing. You are way beyond this. Just the subtle one good wish, and you see how they start changing. That is one big practice to do. Highly recommend it, especially if you are working on someone and you want them to change. This is a very powerful incognito method. So coming down bottom line, we might be giving feedback and this person is getting upset, and I am trying to be even more nice and sweet, almost begging to them that you need to change. It doesn't help, because inside I kind of have already given up, or I feel, oh, my child, you're going to spoil my reputation. You please need to change. I don't know what will happen to your future. If your future is dark, then everybody's going to call me bad. So there is some kind of selfishness, helplessness, hopelessness. With that, no matter how much begging I do, how much sweet play I do, that will not help. This is the deaf ears that they receive. The other option is detach from your egoistic mind. Your mind will be very strong, very forceful, pushing you. Meghna, come on, what is the world going to tell you? Look at your child. You're going to be, I know you're spiritual, you don't care, but still, you're a mother. You need to play the good role of the mother, and you're a spiritual mother. People are going to laugh at you. It's going to do all kind of attacks. And because of that, we don't realize and we come into action and we start begging, we start being polite. But the first step is I need to detach from that dirty mind. I need to detach from the child's role and look at that child as the soul, not my property. I am just an instrument, parent, playing the role of the parent, caretaker. It's not my child. That child has its own destiny. Yes, I will try my best to help them reach their beautiful journey, but I can only try. First, I need to be in my best position, best inner state. Then I can help this child. First thing is, I need to remember who I am, this beautiful tiny star. So is the child, and so am I. Then let me connect to the actor's reality. That role could be they're playing a stubborn role, rude role, disobedient role, arrogant role, anything, or maybe tantrum throwing role. Can I see beyond that? Ego will pull. You're a mother, you're a spiritual mother, your child is supposed to be sweet, you're supposed to have sweet relationships. Put all of those thoughts on the side. First, connect to yourself. Who are you? You are not the mother, you're not the spiritual person. You are the tiny star, child of the Supreme, flawless. So is this person, tiny point of light, child of the Supreme, flawless. We are equal. At the role level, different. At the actor level, we are the same. Then give your feedback if needed, right? I need to come to that level, detached. And then last, on this thing, and then we go overcome to self-blame, is true connection inspires others to auto-correct. So in my meditation daily, I will bring up a bunch of souls, that come into my interaction that I know are either going through some problem or something. It's such a beautiful exercise to bring up all those souls in your awareness, in your meditation. And instead of correction, use connection. True connection of who they are. This true connection is the incognito method, where I'm seeing everyone as God's child, flawless creation. That itself will empower them to autocorrect. I don't have to use words, nothing. All I need to do is shine the light of truth on that person, their potential, the way God sees them, the way God sees me. This incognito method is very, very unintrusive. Everything else, we it is intrusive. Even if it is done in a beautiful, they feel indebted towards us. Oh man, Meghna's feedback changed me. I'm so indebted to her. It's a bit of a, heavy feeling for that person. They'll always, if you don't want them to feel that indebtedness, they should feel that, man, on my own, I've been able to change myself. That is unintrusive, incognito, very powerful. Because that change is not so that others can keep thanking me or it's disturbing me. It is really for their own sake, and they should feel as if they've done it on their own, or they should feel as if this has come because of God's help, because all I am doing is taking God's light and shining it on them. It's not because of me they are changing. So that is why this is such a clean, selfless, unintrusive, magical way. So this is what we wanted to cover on how to give feedback if I don't have to blame. Any questions on this before we move on to overcome self-blame? Any questions on this? All right, we'll go on to the next thing then. Self-blame. Um, how would you describe self-blame? If you have to describe self-blame, what is self-blame in few words? If you can please put your answers, responses on the chat. How would you describe self-blame? No responses on how would you describe self-blame? Stay in the past. Yes, thank you. It's true. Be in the doubt you said or did something wrong. Yes, not forgiving yourself a mistake. Feel guilty. Yes. Yeah. It's sometimes, even though it's very simple, it's important to call it loud. Yes, it is negative thought. Because if we don't call it out, sometimes it's not clear to us. Our mind might be blaming, it might be creating all those blameful thoughts towards the self, but we might not be aware. So that's why in this knowledge, even simple things, we try to describe it as much as possible, because that knowledge is the light. It tells me, oh my gosh, my evil mind is blaming me. That is when I can correct, right? But if I don't even understand that these thoughts are actually full of blame towards me, at the high level we understand, but at the detailed level, mind is very cunning, very very mischievous, right? Very subtle, so we need to understand it. So it's one of the most toxic forms of emotional abuse. It's a lot more abuse than anybody else can do to you, because your mind is with you 24 by 7. No other person can be with you 24 by 7. Your mind can continue to attack you even when you are sleeping. That is why it's the most toxic form of emotional abuse. It amplifies our perceived inadequacies. So it could be a small thing in me, but the mind will make it look like there is nobody as bad as you. You are the worst. That is the way, that is what self blame does. And it amplifies our perceived inadequacies, whether real or imagined. A lot of it could also not be real. This is where this mind can be very evil. We need to be aware, and paralyzes us before we can even begin to move forward. This is such a powerful quote, right? It is so, so uh, damaging, destructive energy, extremely violent, whatever you want to call it. That is what this self blame is. And most of us are affected by it. Majority of the people in this world are affected by self blame. The most confident person, overconfident person, even they are affected by self blame. So it's important to call it out what it does. Now, what is the root cause of self blame? Why do we blame ourselves? Reading the chat here, while the mind sometimes imagines reality, that is, it's not real, there are times when real mistakes have been made, and sometimes these are significant, so it's hard to move on. Okay, we will talk about that as well. What do we do when they are real mistakes? And how do we move on, right? What do we do? It's important to call that out. Very true. But majority of the times, even when that mistake is real and has caused damage, the mind tends to amplify it way more than what it is. That is one of the habituated mind. Lack of self-esteem is causing self-blame. Okay, very good. What else? That's very true. Lack of self-esteem is causing self-blame. What caused us to, and actually blame reduces the self-esteem even more, right? So they're kind of intertwined. Self-blame, low self-esteem, self-blame, low self-esteem, inferiority complex, which is another word for low self-esteem, right? So they are interconnected. What else causes us to, is it always the inferiority complex that causes us to blame? Can superiority complex also cause us to blame ourselves? Yes, very true, right? That perfectionist, I'm supposed to be the best. Toxic environment. Okay. Ego, unrealistic expectations from the self, which is the perfectionist image, right? Everything you do has to be perfect on the first time, get go, nothing should be wrong, nothing should be out of the ordinary, right? Like, so that kind of heavy expectations, unrealistic expectations, very true. And so one of the things, like you've already pointed out, all of these perfectionism, right? This egoistic superiority complex or inferiority, whatever you call, both of them, strict discipline. Yeah, that perfectionist personality will have a strict discipline for sure. And I'm sure many of us are like that. Egoistic is not just superiority complex. Inferiority and superiority complex both are egoistic images, false understanding of the selves, which means needs to be always right and flawless. It's a good aim to have, but with a lot of humility, that it is a goal, it is a journey, it is not something that will be achieved just like that. That is very, very important to understand. It's based on the belief that self-criticism helps the self remain humble. There are many cultures which encourage this blaming kind of behavior, criticism kind of behavior, thinking that is the only way to keep the self humble. Otherwise, you will be full of arrogance. You can't be you'll be boastful. So we have to keep pricking you with these needles so that you remain grounded. This is another incorrect belief. Another one is unaware of the real self. Doesn't know who the real self is. This is where that picture of who I am versus what my eyes can see, what my ears and mouth, and through that understanding myself through this one birth, the kind of the worldly knowledge says what you need to be honest, you need to be hardworking, you need to be organized, you need to be disciplined, you need to be smart, you need to be beautiful, blah 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 blah. That is the world knowledge of being perfect. I evaluate myself only based on that worldly knowledge, and I keep comparing. This is not me, this is not me, so I'm not good enough. Oh, this is all me, I'm too good, I need to be on the top. And then, based on that worldly understanding, limited understanding, I start attacking myself. I create an image. Oh, this is what is the perfect image for the world. This is what the image that will be loved by the world. What about me? Don't I want to be loved irrespective of what I am, who I am? Don't we crave love in spite of making the biggest mistake? Don't we want people to forgive us, to maintain hope in us, for someone to come and tell us, you can do it, you can change, it's okay? How much our heart craves for that. So it's important to sit with your own self and ask, ma'am, yes, I made a blunder, huge blunder, repeated blunder. I still want someone to maintain hope in me. I want someone to give me that helping hand. Can I be that person who gives myself that helping hand? Just to let you know, Meghna, the role, this is Meghna, the role that Meghna is playing, made heavy blunders, mistakes, repeated mistakes. And for her, one was indeed, there were real mistakes too. A lot of it was mind amplifying it, glorifying those mistakes, making Meghna look really, really, really bad. That perfectionist. So she would sway between superiority, inferiority complex. Nothing changed. Day by day, her life became miserable. So let's see how we go about resolving this, right? What do we do? Powerless versus powerful state. So I'm reading this chat message. That is true. This is a chat message which says that is true. However, there is a tension between the reality of needing and giving love and the reality that all human beings are flawed and often broken. So we are asking to love something that is fundamentally flawed. So yes, at that level of us playing the roles in this world drama, right, in this story, we are expected to have good and bad parts. The duality will exist, where in some parts we will be really flawless, impeccable. There will certainly be goodness, although that evil mind will refuse, will not want you to focus on that. It'll quickly move it away. It'll keep saying, no, 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 that's not good, because for many, many ages and births, we've been practicing this self blame attack on the self, right? So the mind has now become a very, very evil master who's telling the soul, nope, nope, no hope on you. You don't have any strengths. At this level of the drama, we have strengths and weaknesses, we have flaws and flawlessness. There are parts which are flawless, there are parts that are full of flaw. That is why that bigger picture is needed of understanding what is the potential of this being. Because if I'm at this level, this physical level, this level of the world drama, then I'll always feel that, man, good Meghna, bad Meghna, good Meghna, bad Meghna, flawless Meghna, flawful Meghna. I'll keep feeling and changing. It doesn't help in change, right? So let's use a different method and let's go over this. So powerless versus powerful state, self-blame versus self-respect. These are the two methods. Now, from this slide onwards, let's assume that the mistake we've made are real. Maybe they are repeated mistakes. Let's assume that, right? And maybe the mind is amplifying it. All right, mind is amplifying it, saying, man, that's the biggest blunder. You are the most hopeless case. It's doing all of that. Although it's not the reality. But yes, it is right at this level of the drama. The mistake has happened. Maybe it's hurt few people. Maybe it's spoiled the world. Let's assume that, right? So now one method is being in this infinite loop, in that vicious cycle of the past. I have to ask myself this question. Ego will not want to answer these questions, but that's why I keep saying early in the morning when the mind tends to be little bit softer, and I, the being, can control it a bit more, guide it a bit more. That's why early in the morning, sit with a pen and paper, ask yourself, your method of self-blaming, feeling hopeless of yourself, has it helped in any way? Self-blame automatically, doesn't it lead to low self-esteem? Low self-esteem means what? I feel my existence is a waste. I shouldn't be existing. I'm a waste on this planet Earth. There is no meaning to my life. That is the way this self-attack works. So if that is the way I'm feeling, means what? Spiritually, I'm very, very weak, extreme low confidence. Such a person will make even more mistakes. How do the people around them feel? Someone who's always feeling I'm good for nothing, this, that, always crying. People around, how do they feel? How does the environment become? Self-blame always makes the mistake bigger. Now, self-respect, what do I do? It's not we are trying to be careless. It's not like I'm looking past and avoiding. Absolutely not. It means taking charge. Something bad, atrocious happened through this role. It occurred, it meant to occur, it has occurred, it can't be changed. I'm not trying to say that I can change it. Past is done, it has passed. I now check what caused that mistake. I really need to go at the root level. So I'll give you an example here from Meghna's life. Like Meghna would typically, with certain people, she would become very impatient. And with from that impatience, she would then kind of become a little rude because she would, and then she would give them like real feedback. Like it wouldn't be like really mean words or anything like that, but she would tell them honestly what is going on. And it would be very not the right picture, right? I'm trying to tell them that so Meghna would either get give people this feedback like, why are you so slow, or you're making some kind of excuses, or you're doing this, like right there, straightforward. And then she would see that person's face falling and she would feel guilty, or even if that person doesn't fall, she would evaluate, she would feel very bad about it. And sometimes she would do this in front of two or three different people, so how much that person must be feeling bad, right? So when I sat with myself and I said, why am I doing it? What is the root cause of me being so blunt, being so impatient and cutting people off? Why do I do it? What is the problem? Oh, you need patience. Why don't I have patience? Oh, develop patience. How do I develop patience? So I went really deeper to understand impatience comes from when I don't have faith in other people's intentions, when I feel other people are just bad, hopeless situation. When I feel that I have to say this, otherwise they can't change. Faith in others can change. Faith that I can tolerate that lies, those excuses, their tardiness, I can tolerate. Oh, work will get spoiled, Meghna. Let it get spoiled. Let everything fall apart. I can't be blunt to this person. So I really sat with myself to understand what is the root cause of the problem? Why do I make this mistake? How do I correct it? Develop patience means how do I develop patience? What is one thing I will do when this person comes in front of me? I know this person likes to lie, or I know this person likes to make excuses, or I know like this person is always disorganized. So these were like bells that would trigger that bluntness in me. So I had to sit with myself, understand. And a lot of times I sat with Supreme. I said, I don't understand. You tell me. I'm your child, perfect like you. But this mind is not allowing me to see my perfection. It's not allowing me to see what is the reason I keep making the same mistake. So that much passion one needs to have. Not put my energy on this, but instead put my energy on this. And magically, I will tell you, with certain people with whom I made this blunder, relationship has changed with them. In spite of Meghna being blunt with them, they are still good friends because they saw the changed me with so much of love and faith and energy for them. So it's not like this will completely break. This will only call breakage. It will never, if in this situation, even if I go and ask for an apology, it is not going to help. But in this situation, where I've maintained respect for myself, where I've forgiven myself, when I go and talk to that person, everything changes. What can I do to avoid this in the future? Another important point, how can I be that resource? Suppose I've made a big blunder. How can I go and tell everybody else that, hey, you know what? Meghna has made these blunders. You don't make because it costs you this much. So I can use that mistake as a learning lesson, not only for myself, but I can help others also to avoid that mistake. So thank you, that mistake. So much it helped me learn and grow, come out of that ego that I should be perfect. Instead, I'm actually becoming better version of myself. And I'm also now helping others not make that mistake. So this is moving forward. It's not ignoring what has happened. It's not suppressing it. It's not avoiding it. It's actually understanding it and then leaping forward. So very powerful state. This is a powerless state. Actually a power drop. You go down, downward spiral. This is upward spiral. Second is wrong versus right perception. Self-blame. What is the perception here? Gloomy. Extremely gloomy. Everything is unappealing. There could be a lot of good things happening in the present, but one mistake or 10 mistakes occurred. But there are so many beautiful things that Meghna might have done, or so many beautiful things that are happening in her life. She can't appreciate anything if she's hung upon this self-blame. Always surrounded by these hopeless thoughts. Shouldn't have made that mistake. Nobody will forgive you. You will never learn or improve. This is the thought process of the ego mind. So yes, my mind still does that sometimes. Not anymore as much though, because I don't entertain these thoughts. Mind is my server. I tell the mind, no, these thoughts are wrong. They're making me look backwards. I'm looking forward. I'm not going to use these thoughts. Supreme doesn't want me to use these thoughts. I'm not using them. What am I going to do instead? Bright. It's not a gloomy perception. I have a bright perceptions. Mistakes are utmost critical, important. Without them, I can't move into my better version. It is impossible. Egoistic perfectionist image that we have about ourselves says I should already be the best, which is not the reality. And for a beautiful reason, in Brahma Kumaris they say if you don't have the zeal to learn, improve and grow, you are as good as dead. Spiritually you are dead. Your body might be living, breathing, but spiritually you are dead. It is that learning, wanting to become someone better, that is what generates enthusiasm, which is what is the indication of life that you're living. So thank you that mistake, and maybe even more mistakes. Yes, I don't want to hurt others through that mistake. That's not purposefully wanting to make the mistake, but there are many such weaknesses in me that are causing me to make the mistakes. So yes, through these mistakes which become visible in the eye, through the ears, they become visible. I come to know of the incognito weaknesses. I can't see the weaknesses very clearly all the time. But these mistakes that come out in the open, they help me see. And sometimes when they come out in the bigger open public, 10 people are seeing that mistake, even better. Because then that's when the inspiration in the heart comes. That man, high time I need to get rid of this weakness. At least for Meghna, it was like that. This is just getting beyond control. I can't be careless. I can't keep postponing my time that I'll work on this later. I'm busy. No, this is most important. I have to work on the weakness. It really helps us in remaining humble. I am forever student of life. Life will continue to expose these weaknesses through many different tailor-made lessons. Even now, mistakes occur, but the same kind are not occurring. Or if they occur, the frequency has reduced tremendously because of working on the self and maintaining that bright vision, looking forward vision. So this is that perception. We are running a bit late. I hope that's okay. It should take another 5 minutes or so. We will wrap it up. Expectation versus acceptance, right? Self-blame only has expectations, like one of you already said, high expectation, unrealistic expectation, versus self-respect has acceptance. So what is that? Egoistic, zero empathy, absolutely no empathy towards the self, but constant attack and expecting you should change, Meghna. Why are you not changing? You're good for nothing, Meghna. Why are you not changing? Calling yourself good for nothing, calling yourself foolish, and then expecting, what is the result I'm expecting? Smart Meghna, very good Meghna. Not possible. Feedback you give is the feedback that will, whatever is the input, that is what will be the output. So this egoistic image is based on the shallow understanding of the self, and repetitive thoughts will occur. You always make many mistakes. Nobody makes so many mistakes. You are not loved by anyone. This is that egoistic, very, very cruel way of treating the self. Versus self respect says, I understand my journey in life. Many, many births, we've come under the influence of different religions, different nationality, different experiences, different types of people, different types of circumstances, different types of jobs, genders. There's been such a long journey that the soul has been on. I have to accept that as I took this journey, many weaknesses got in me, they emerged in me, but they're not part of me. The soul itself is flawless, but when it takes the journey in this world drama, in this physical world, weaknesses are meant to be there. They are meant to be there in every person, whether it's in this birth or previous birth, but mistakes are there in everyone. So these variety traits accumulated in me, and good and bad memories were recorded. How were the good and bad memories? Oh, you lied, you are a bad person. Oh, you were late for a meeting, you are a bad person. Oh, you got everything done in time, so good person. This is all the labels we have given. But I need to see myself beyond these labels, beyond this world drama. Last slide, punish versus forgive. Self-blame will say punish, punish, punish is the method. This is a negative force we are trying to use to get a positive change. Forgive is a positive force to bring about a positive change. For us to decide, will the negative method give me positive change, or will a positive method give me a positive change? Something for us to understand and decide. So first method, self-blame, is violence. Keep attacking yourself 24/7. It will go through this vicious cycle of blame, guilt, regret, remorse, depression, aggression, hopelessness, all of this, right? It's one of the biggest violence on the self. And because of this, they have a very weak weak personality. They can't love themselves. They can't have any respect for themselves. They're not only judgmental and critical towards themselves, but they are like this even towards others. And this was Meghna's reality. She was not only this, very strict with herself, she was also very strict. She had high expectations even from others. That's the nature of self-blame. Versus self-respect, complete non-violence. Understands that the power of love, which is forgiving the self, whether the other person forgives or not, doesn't matter. First thing is, I need to forgive myself. And how do I forgive myself? By giving my mistake with full honesty. No excuses. This person always does that. That's why I lose my temper. Or, I was so tired. That's why I woke up late. But nothing. No excuses, no nothing. Tell what happened to the Supreme with full honesty. And then see how he forgives, because he never looks at the role, he looks at the soul, the tiny point of light, who is flawless just like him. He understands that in this world drama, his every child will have to play the role of flaws and flawlessness. He understands that every child will grow through success and failure. So he looks past that. He knows that it is meant to be like that. His true vision on the flawless creation, his acceptance, For me, this acceptance from the Supreme has given tremendous power, that if He, the knowledgeable one, is forgiving me, who am I to not forgive myself? Am I better than Supreme? He forgives and I will not forgive. So every time I've made a mistake, or I have not, the role has made the mistake, I've gone and sat in His lap and I've felt His love, His guidance, how to deal with this, how to come out of it. It's given me tremendous power to overcome all of those weaknesses. So really, we do need the light, His guidance, His sustenance, His acceptance, His unconditional love. That is the power we need. Not only will you see that you have forgiven yourself and come out of it, you will see others also forget that past mistake. That much is the power in Supreme's love. So this is what we wanted to cover in the session today. Any questions or any thoughts? Feel free to raise your hand. If you have any questions, put it on the chat, or you can raise your hand as well. Yeah, no, my pleasure here. If you would like future topics in the self-development series, you would like us to focus on a particular topic, could be anything. Feel free to provide your feedback on this current session, on what kind of topics you would like to see in the upcoming months. So feedback is power. Give us that. Give us your powerful feedback, your ideas. They're very welcome. We will certainly try to do our best to meet your feedback, your suggestions. We'll try our best. So please do share your feedback. The link is on the chat. And all of these sessions, as you know, are available for free. And if you are benefiting from these sessions and you would like to make some contribution, we have the link to provide contributions, and all of these contributions are tax deductible. So feel the link to provide contributions, or is the contribution link is on the chat. Feel free to use that. It's a non-profit organization, so we appreciate your contribution. The next session that is coming up next month is feeling great no matter what. This is something at the feeling level. Our feelings constantly change. So how do we maintain that constant feeling, right? Would love to hear your thoughts on that. So this is starting on the 2nd June and will be for 5 weeks in the month of June. Same time, 2 to 3 p.m. And so you can register for this on svbrahmakumaris.org/webinar. That's the place to register for this next webinar. And then the last but not the least, we also offer well-being sessions at workplace. We can customize it and make it as per your needs. So feel free to ask for a custom webinar for your workplace. This is the link to request for a well-being session at your workplace. So that was all we wanted to cover in this particular session. Thank you so much all for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and hope to see you next week for feeling great no matter what, next self-development series. Om Shanti, everyone.